There's two.
There are two. There are two.
I'm Amy Hanna. I'm representing the Hendersonville Gardening Group here at Blue Ridge Community College. And today I'm very happy to tell you all about the Mills River Park Pollinator Garden, the plans and execution of it. We are lucky to have a number of volunteers who work endlessly on that project. Before we get into it though, I'd like to just remind everybody that the seed library is still right here. And we're preparing now for autumn planting. And autumn planting includes things like beets and radishes, which are very short lifespan, short growing period, onions, and of course carrots. I stay away from the brassicas because I have cabbage loopers and I always am greatly disappointed after week 3 and seeing my poor little cabbages and Brussels sprouts, forget it. So I stay away from brassicas. But the seed library is right here. I'm sure you all know to fill out a membership form and help yourself to some seeds. What we have right now are mostly vegetables. These seeds are somewhat current this year and last year, which could probably have a good germination rate. But feel free to browse and take as you like. We're more than happy to have you help yourself. So, without further ado, Carol, you want to kick it off?
Sure.
Okay. Carol.
Hi, my name is Carol, and I'm one of the co-directors of Mills River Pollinator Garden. My cohort, my colleague in crime, Pat Horlick. And then I want to call out some of the other members that are here. We've got Mary back there in the back row. We've got Kelly. We have Fawn. And another member is having some medical issues, so she's not here. But we have a cohort of about 6 that's been really hardcore and at it from the infancy. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the growth of our garden as a garden, starting from a green spot of grass with a little lime outline to what we had prior to Helene, where we were starting to feel pretty sassy, to what we witnessed after Helene, and to the rejuvenation that's occurred since then. It's really amazing, not only from the plants that came back, but also from a fantastic donation that I'll tell you about later, from a grant that we received. So I am perfectly open to questions. If you have something burning that you want to ask as I talk, I'm fine with that. But what I put together is a series of slides that I hope you'll find kind of interesting. So this is our Mills River Pollinator Garden. I want to make sure that you know that it's a collaboration between the Extension Service and the Mills River Park and Recreation Department. And both have been instrumental. We couldn't have done it without both of those. There we go. So welcome to our garden. Before I get any further, who has seen our garden? Who has been to the Mills River Pollinator Garden? Oh, y'all have some work to do. We want to invite you to please come and visit us. It's in Mills River Park, which is notorious as a great dog park. If you talk to people who go, what's the best dog park? They say Mills River Park. Go with a friend that has a dog, take your dog, go to the dog park, but on the way, as soon as you turn into Mills River Park, the very first parking lot on the right, turn right, go to the very end, and you'll see an arbor, and you'll see our pollinator garden. So pay us a visit. It's a small garden. It's about 2,500 square feet. It's not going to take a long time, but it's a beautiful place to just take a stroll. We have a wonderful swing where you can sit, look at the flowers, and observe the mountains. So come pay us a visit. It's pretty easy to find. We were established in May of 2023, and our goal is to be a demonstration garden for public education, but also public enjoyment. And so we emphasize plants that are native to North Carolina, but I have to be honest, not all plants that are in our garden are natives, and we know that. Okay. We have over 72 species, and I haven't done a recent count because we just added over 90 new plants and multiple new species, so the number exceeds that by far. Okay. We have perennials, we have trees, we have shrubs, a little bit of everything. So our major goal has been to develop a garden to provide food and habitat for pollinators, to educate the public about the importance of pollinators, and I don't have to tell you all about that because I know you're well aware of it. Okay? But also we want to talk to the public about ways that they could incorporate pollinator-friendly plants in their own home gardens. And the main way that we do this is And so as the people walk by and we're working in the garden, they'll ask us questions. We'll do our best to give them answers. And there's a lot of interaction that goes on every Wednesday between 9 and 10:30, 11, depending on the weather. And if you want to see us and visit us there, that's the best time to come. So I'm going to just quickly walk you through our history and talk you through the development of the garden structure per se. And our garden in May 2023. Oh, Mary, do you remember that day?
Sure did.
Oh, it was hot. Pat, it was hot. It's always hot at the River Pollinator Garden. It was hot. It was sunny. And over a 2-day period, a whole cohort of master gardeners, people from the Parks and Rec Department, people from the Extension Service got together. Steve Pettis was the ringleader. He had developed a plan. Okay. We had topsoil, we had mulch, we had flats full of plants, and the work crew just got to business. This is what we started with. It doesn't look very impressive. This little chimney here was our landmark. And we're not sure about the history of that chimney. We've heard multiple stories. So that's a question that we will have to follow up on. So this was our first garden prep and planning couple of days. So a 2-day period, we spread soil, we put plants in, we put mulch on it, and we watered like crazy and crossed our fingers. You can see that everybody was getting a little tired at this point. This was close to the end. I actually call this the shovel brigade. All of us seemed to have shovels. We were just digging. We were doing our best. And at the very end of it, here we are. We survived. We planted, what, over 200 plants that day, the 2-day period, as well as putting down tons of soil, and mulch, and crossed our fingers. Wanted to see how it would turn out. So that was the first thing that we did in terms of structure of the garden. Then the Parks and Rec Department just really came to bat for us. We showed up one day and we heard rumors about maybe a split rail fence, and from one Wednesday to the next, all of a sudden a split rail fence appeared. And that's so much nicer than that orange plastic fencing that was delineating our garden. And then, not too much longer after that, they put in a beautiful gravel walkway. And it is ADA compliant, although I would recommend that you had one of those special wheelchairs that's got kind of the fat tires. But we know from experience that ADA individuals that have certain requirements with a wheelchair can get through there. And then a wonderful person, and I'm going to mention them in our acknowledgement slides, financed a beautiful swing. So we have this swing that overlooks the garden, and off straight ahead and to the left are the beautiful mountains. So it's a very peaceful place. And the last 2 structural things that appeared didn't come up to play until 2024. So this wonderful arbor that we had talked about for a long time, Mills River Park and Rec, same kind of thing as the first time with the fence. We talked about an arbor. We picked out an arbor that we kind of liked. And then the next week it appeared. So, I mean, they're amazing. I love to work with them. They're very efficient. So we now have an arbor. We have a split rail fence. We've got a beautiful walkway. We've got a place to sit. There's only one other thing that we need. We need a home for the bees. And the last addition was a Mason bee house. And this is where the Girl Scouts of Troop 2988 came into play. It was one of their big projects. They won an award for this project. It was the Bronze Award Project in 2024. And so we now have a Mason bee house, and we had a big grand opening, and it was absolutely fantastic. So at this point, what I'm showing you right now is the structure of our garden is essentially complete. You always want 1 or 2 more things. And we do too. We would love to have another arbor. If anyone has some money they'd like to donate, we'd love to have another arbor for the exit. And of course, because part of our goal is education, we want to have more educational signs. But that's the future. So what I've described so far is just how we got a structure that we could put plants in, and how it evolved over time from 2023 to 2024. I have to be honest, Mills River park is a challenge, at least for me physically. I think for every one of us that's worked out there physically. It is hot. It is dry. Okay. And it is sunny. The sun just beats down mercilessly on you. Well, that's tough for us, but we go there for a couple hours and we leave on Wednesdays, and then we come back different times to water. But those poor plants are there all the time. And so during the first summer, although we planted over 200 plants, it's clear. Some plants really did well. Some plants sort of hung in there, and other plants gave up the ghost. So I cannot say that all the loss that we saw in terms of plants in our garden from the very beginning when we planted everything was due to Helene. I have to say that the conditions also eliminated some of the plants. And it's just a question of the right plant, the right place, and it might sound like it's a perfect fit, but your specific microcosm is not going to be appropriate for that plant. So anyway, what did we see the very first summer? We were so happy. Remember that wonderful willow leaf sunflower? Everyone that went by commented on that willow leaf sunflower. Big mound about this big, beautiful gold flowers. I love it, but I'm going to also tell you it's a poor fit for our garden. It didn't come back the second year. We got it. We got some more the second year. We tried again, and it just likes moisture conditions, a little bit of shade. We don't have it. So it's glorious if you've got the right conditions. According to the plant toolbox, go for it. We loved it, but it's not one that we're going to continue to try to grow. It just is wasteful. But we certainly had lots of spotted bee balm. Oh, everyone's favorite black-eyed Susans. They're tough. They're resilient. They did great. Okay. How do you all pronounce this genus name? Agastache? 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 Well, if you look at the Kew Gardens pronunciation, it's Agastache. Oh my gosh. So you know what we do? We call it hyssop. It's like, okay, that's hyssop. Hyssop was great. The Monarda, oh, Monarda's fabulous. It's tough, it grows well, it's got beautiful flowers. But I want to spend just a minute or two talking about Mary's favorite, the Echinacea, the cone flowers. Why do we at Mills River absolutely love cone flowers? They don't need a lot of water. They love sun, and they are robust. So I want to call your attention to this picture over here. That cone flower is growing out of a crevice in a rock that Mary might have put, what, 3 inches of soil? And look at the gorgeous flowers. They are incredible in terms of their resiliency. So that's one that we always have a go-to. The other thing that I didn't put on the slide that's wonderful about them is they self-propagate pretty well. So it's almost a problem. Sometimes you have to weed them out, but what you do is you take them and you put them in a pot, and you have another one, and you can share. They are not only attractive to pollinators, which is one of the things we want, but I'm a real big proponent of getting plants that are host plants. And these are host plants for silvery checker spots. Okay? And they are also attractive to lots of different pollinators. Fritillaries, monarchs, painted ladies, swallowtails. And for those of you biologists that say painted ladies, yes, they do occur in this area on occasion, very rarely. Okay? All right, so this is one of our stars from the first year. You had to say the first year, what plant did you love? What plant would you recommend? What plant's resilient? I would say cone flower. But we are a little bit greedy. There were some big gaps in our garden, and we expected that. You plant a new garden, the plants aren't going to fill in right away. And I know the story, you're always told, don't keep planting too many plants because they'll all overgrow, and in 5 years, we'll divide. We're happy to do that. But by the end of like August 2023, it was clear that we had lots of gaps that we wanted to fill in. And this is one of those serendipitous events that just occurred. We heard that Conserving Carolina had to do some revisions of their landscaping in front of their offices. And so they said, you dig up the plants, you can have them. And so they had so many native plants, it was amazing. And so this is our gang out there in the heat again, digging up whatever looked good to us. Mary, what did you dig up the most out there?
sorry, blank, I don't know, we took everything. that
Goldenrod,
was-
I think.
Yeah,
Took
goldenrod a lot. of it.
Sure, yeah, yeah. And so here we are again, the shovel brigade. Okay. So at the end of 2023, we had our first growing season. We had augmented with some additional plants to fill in, thanks to Conserving Carolina. So we just waited till the next year. And you know how that is. You kind of like look and you hope, but the plants kind of die down and you deadhead and you cut back and you say, what's going to come back? Well, spring and summer 2024, this is what our garden started to look like. Now, this is a service berry. I'm going to tell you right now, it died and it didn't come back after planting. Okay, so we lost that one, but we have another service berry on the other side that's beautiful, and we also have a sweet bay magnolia we planted, and it's fabulous too. So this one just didn't like the spot, all right? But look we're starting to fill in. You can identify, I hate to ask anyone if they know what this could possibly be. It grows like crazy, it fills in like crazy. Mountain mint. Contain it, okay? Those are my 2 words with respect to it. Contain it. It's wonderful in its place. But for us, one of the wonderful things it did was it provided shade for all these plants around it. And we found an amazing azalea that was just shaded by all this mountain mint. So spring, summer 2024, we were really enjoying our plants. Everything was looking good. You will recognize all these. We've got daisies. We've got more monarda. We've got, coral honeysuckle. Lonicera is the genus name. We've got betony. We've got coreopsis. And again, we've got, in this case, scarlet bee balm. Okay, so you just could look out the garden and we walked around and we were like, this is awesome. We have the best garden this year. And even Steve published, I think, on one of the sites, he said, the Mills River Pollinator Garden is looking good. Okay. And so some of the plants I would just like to call your attention to that were really beautiful that year, that season, the monarda, of course, the turtlehead did pretty well. And St. John's wort, this particular variety that we got from Raymond's, covered with blossoms, covered with bees. It is tough. I'll tell you right now, I'll take my thunder. It made it through the flood. This year it's fabulous. So this is again a keeper for sure. Other plants that were stunning, I am a sucker for ironweed. I love purple. It's a little bit later in the season. The yarrow was gorgeous. And then I would have to say, for most of us, the star of the second year was again a yellow plant, but it was Thermopsis spiosa. And you will probably say it looks like a lupin. Well, another name for it is Carolina false lupin. Okay. So technically lupins are in the genus Lupinus. So this is Thermopsis, so it's clearly not a lupin per se, but it looks like it, and guess what? It is a legume. It does fix nitrogen. So it's a way to enrich the soil as well. So it's a really good plant to have. What are its key features? Likes full sun. It's not that fussy about water, dry to medium soil. It is striking. It is this long spike of brilliant yellow color. I mean, just imagine walk through the garden and your eye is just pulled right to that Thermopsis. It's a host plant for more than 7 species of Lepidoptera. So that's your caterpillars. Dusky-winged butterflies, sulfur butterflies, skippers. And it is also attractive to pollinator. Pollen and nectar for bees, butterflies, fritillaries, monarchs, boy, you name them, they love it. So before you go today, I would invite you to help yourself. I think we have enough for everybody. To one of these little baggies, little knit bags that I put together, with some Thermopsis spiosa seeds from our garden, and a little QR code that'll take you to the plant toolbox and tell you all about it. And before you leave, if you might want to use your phone to take a picture of what's recommended for what you need to do to germinate it. So the downside is it's a little tough to germinate. Okay. Give it a shot. If it works, let us know. So the second year, we loved our Thermopsis. It was just a fabulous plant, and I would recommend that. So we were feeling so good, weren't we, at the end of that season? Lots of flowers, the thermopsis was gorgeous, the baptisia was gorgeous, everything was gorgeous. And you know what happened. So before Helene, this is kind of what we were looking at with respect to our garden. Post Helene, this is what we have. Have to say, this is on tape, I should probably not say it. We were probably not supposed to be in the garden at this time. We didn't know it. Okay. So as soon as we could get in there, I went over and I looked and said, how deep did the water get? Over 3 feet deep. Sat there. There's a little creek that goes behind it. Not only did the water sit there, you can see there's mud and silt deposited on all the tissues in the plants, but check this out. Even amongst all that mud and silt, we still had a little plant that wanted to grow. So potential maybe, but at this point we were told not to enter the garden until we were told it was safe. There's agriculture around there that worried about runoff. They also needed to have assessment from FEMA to see how much damage had occurred. So, you know, when Helene was September, October, we weren't really back in the garden until April. It's a long, long time. So when we got back into the garden in April, we went to work. We were sad, but we said, we're just going to take this down. We're going to deadhead. We're going to prune. We're going to give it the best shot and see what happens. So this is what we have in early spring of this year, post-Helene cleanup. Plants are so resilient. It's incredible. A lot of the plants came back. Yes, we had big gaps and we could bemoan those that we lost, but I like to rejoice in the ones that grew. Other things that were marvelous, this is a butterfly puddler, and we don't know where it ended up, but it was gone after Helene, and then all of a sudden one day it reappeared. We assumed maybe the parks people put it away for safekeeping, but it could be that it floated away and someone brought it back. I mean, that was a lot of flood water. But anyway, the puddler was back, the plants were starting to grow, and we were starting to feel optimistic again. In terms of what we had lost, Pat and I did an inventory, a rough estimate as to what we had lost and what we needed to replace. And from start to finish, we probably lost about 25 to 35% of our plants. It's a lot. Especially when you just have planted a new garden and you want it to fill in, and then you lose a quarter to a third of the plants. It's heartbreaking. And so we looked for possible sources of funding. And you may guess, I'm a former college professor and I used to apply for grants all the time. And so we started saying, is there any money out there? What can you do? And I have to be honest. We developed a wish list of plants. We used that toolbox religiously to come out with a list of the best plants suited for our garden, knowing what we now know about what does and doesn't do well there. Even though it might say on the toolbox it might be okay in our circumstances, if we knew that it died on us, we did not try to replace it. So we had a list of possible plants, possible sources of funding, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, what do we apply to? And then Pat contacted me one day because she'd been contacted by the Parks and Rec. This is a long, complicated story, but they were contacted by the Rotary Club of Arden, who said they had monies available, and was there anything that the park department could use the money for to improve after Helene? Well, we jumped on it without any doubt. We had used the toolbox, we got lots of options, and we got more plants. How many more plants? About 90 to 95 more plants. About $1,800 was donated by the Arden Rotary Club / FEMA fund. Not only did they donate the money for the plants were sourced from Raymond's and also from Woods Wise Botanicals in Wills River. The Arden Club donated mussel. Oh. These are not our master gardeners. We were doing the points. It was like, put the plant there, put the plant there. This gentleman's with the, well, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's Mary. She's not with them. She's with us. There. They went to work. We thought they might just show up, take a photo, whatever. No, they worked hard. And so at the very end, here we are. This is the happy planting day. We're really happy to have some young, strong backs to get in there and plant with us. And so when we were done, this is what it looks like before and after one particular corner. So we had this huge gap, it was all cleared out. And afterwards, we have all these new plants, and I can tell you, these new plants are gonna fill it in fast. We have button bushes, we have some ironweed, we have some joe pye weed in the back, we've got some beautyberry. I can tell by the color of the leaves. We've got beautyberry up here in the front. So I invite you guys to come and see it in about maybe 2 months. Let's see how they fill in. If you can't come 2 months now, come next year. Let's see what it looks like. So we are super excited to see how these new additions perform. As I've mentioned, I'm really excited about the beautyberry. I'm excited about, oh, I should see if you can identify them. That's a button bush. Okay. When I took Master Gardener classes, Steve Pettis put that picture up there and said, does anyone know what this is? My partner did, I didn't. Okay. Okay, so we've got the button bush, we've got the beautyberry, New Jersey tea, which is the Ceanothus americanus. And then we also have, someone mentioned rattlesnake master. I think it was you. Okay, rattlesnake master. All of these were at some point in time designated plants of the year by the North Carolina Botanical Society. So these are really strong contenders for doing well. We're excited about them. They're all native. Lots of plants. We just have to see which ones pan out for us. Another plant that Greta was really excited about was this Indian cup, which I'm very unfamiliar with. But it supposedly has a beautiful yellow flower, and it's a mounding type perennial, obviously a pollinator. So that's one you might want to put on your list to think about for the future. Okay. So not only did we want to have plants that grew, obviously it's a pollinator garden. So I know this is cheesy, but if you build it, they will come. We had pollinators, we had bees, we have butterflies. And what was that unusual moth that you found?
Oh, the hummingbird. I call it the hummingbird moth.
Yeah, hummingbird moth, a sphinx moth, I think is sometimes also called. Yeah, we had all kinds of unusual pollinators. So I want to assure you, we had pollinators. All right. So in addition to that, our goal is outreach and education. And I just want to call your attention to a couple of things. One is we were unaware of the fact that Henderson County has a pollinator trail that is run through coastal Carolina. It's sort of like the oversees the website. And so I found Wellington Gardens, everybody was on it, but not us. Now, not Hendersonville. Hendersonville has their own pollinator site. So I contacted them, and lo and behold, we got on the Henderson County Pollinator Trail, so you'll find us there. You may want to just check out that site to see what other places you could go visit. We had the grand opening ceremony, so we had members of the public, we had giveaways, etc. The Mason Bee House dedication, a number of our master gardeners were there. This year, we had an Earth Fest celebration, and it was an absolute hoot. It was freezing cold. We were out there, there was a food truck, there was a honey truck, there were all kinds of vendors and people that were just trying to forward pollinators and friendly options. And we met so many wonderful people there. And of course, we have this meet and greet that goes on every Wednesday where we talk to people, and it is so much fun. Most recently, and I'm going to rely on you again, Fawn, because I know you may remember, we met someone that's a gardener in Transylvania County, and she told us of events that they have there that we were unaware of. So you never know who you're going to meet, who you're going to talk to, and what little tidbit they may have. Oops, well, that was not what I want to do. Classic. Thanks. Well, Steve, you got here in time for me to see our slide. There we go. Okay, so we have been super busy. I think that's really the best way to sum up what we've been doing. Planted the garden once with Steve's help, who's hiding back there. So if y'all don't know Steve Pettis, the gentleman in the purple shirt back there is our extension agent, Mr. Steve Pettis, who also designed designed the garden as well as oversaw the development of the garden. We have been super busy from the infancy of that garden until now, trying to keep the plants in, trying to keep the plants watered. That's a long story. If you want to hear us moan and talk about watering, we will. But we're at a point now where I'm really excited because I want to look at some of these host plants. As a biologist, that was my trade. I want to see if we're getting any eggs laid on those host plants. Are we really attracting any pollinators? And we haven't even had time. All we've done is deadhead, water, and replant. But now, hopefully, we'll have the luxury of watching our garden become sort of more experimental as well. We have a young lady from local, Warren Wilson, who's going to be doing a little project in the garden this summer. So lots of education and outreach. We're super excited about where we are right now with respect to the garden. And I just want to take a minute or two to introduce you to our team. So Kelly is here in the front row, Kelly Newsom. Eula is unfortunately not with us. She's wonderful, she's creative, she's got the best eye, I think we would all agree. She says, how about let's put a little path there? We all go, good idea, okay? This is me. I have to hide from the sun, so this is what I look like in the garden. I get a lot of comments on my outfit, believe me. Okay. This is Mary, who is our water extraordinaire. She's sitting right back there in the third row. This is Fawn, who, again, she's also a little more artistic than I ever would be. And Pat, who is my co-director and just does a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of paperwork and organization. And we trade off and on. When one of us is out of town, the other one takes over. But I have to say it's wonderful to have a co-director that you can depend on. And that's Pat. Yay, Pat! And last but not least, I really do feel like this is an it takes a village talk. When I started putting this presentation together, I began to realize why I felt so busy the last couple of years. And it's not just me, it's myself, it's Pat, it's Kelly, it's Fawn, it's Eula, it's Mary, it's Steve. It's the folks at the Parks and Rec Department that just show up with a load of mulch when we ask for it. Here comes the front end loader, there's Mike, dumps the mulch for us. And they're so happy to help us. So it does take a village. And these are all people that I absolutely feel like we have to thank. And the first is Donna and Nancy Barber, who were responsible for that swinging bench. Conserving Carolina, I mentioned we got a bunch of plants from them when they had to redo their front landscaping. The Girl Scout troop and their bee house. The Henderson County Master Gardener Management Action Team, on which both Pat and I served. I don't know if it's active or not, but they had a fund, and we applied for grant funds from those funds, and we used those grant funds to make plant labels. That's a little bit of a sad story because we have to redo a lot of plant labels because we lost a bunch. But it's good because it keeps us focused on the educational aspects of our garden. Flat Rock Garden, I don't know if there's anyone here from Flat Rock. We got some plants from y'all. In particular, some asters that I know that are really doing well, and everyone says, watch out for asters, they'll take over. Right now, we want them to take over. We'll deal with them in a little bit. All right, Raymond's Garden Center in Hendersonville, they were the ones that supplied the plants for the initial planting and half the plants for the second planting funded by the Arden Club. The Woodswise Botanicals, who supplied the plants for half of the plants for the second planting. And if you've never been there, I would recommend you just take a little jaunt out there. Greta has a number of native plants that you don't find anywhere else. So things like rattlesnake master, you can definitely find there. Passion flower, you can find there. Certainly the Ceanothus americanus, the New Jersey tea, things like that. So a wonderful source, check it out. I cannot thank the Arden Rotary Club enough. I swear, it seems like every time we think we're stuck in a hard place, we need more plants. First, we got a bunch of plants from Conserving Carolina, and then Bill approached us and he said, this is Bill Payne, by the way. He approached us and he said, do you need anything? He came out within 2 days. He walked the garden with us. He said, I think I can help you. Give me a list of what you need. I need before and after photos. And within 2 weeks, we had the funds. Of course, the North Carolina Henderson County Extension Master Gardener Program. Guidance, expertise, encouragement. Steve Pettis back there. And our design for the garden. And then, no one is here from the Mills River Park and Rec Department, but I have got to tell you, they have been, as Bill and Ted would say, most excellent partners. If we need it, if they can possibly find a way to get it for us, they do. They are limited by funds, but if you mention something, maybe a couple months later, they'll say, are you still interested in, and they'll try to find a way to get it for us. So, I guess the way to best sum up our experience, it's been wonderful, it's been frustrating, it's been heartbreaking, and now it's rejuvenation. And so we just cannot wait to see what happens in the next 6 months, year, and I want to invite y'all to just come on out and see it. And any kind of suggestions you have, we want to hear about it. We'd love it. And without any further ado, there's one other group I want to thank, and that's y'all for your attention so much. So thank you. And I have to call your attention to this illustration. We're feeling a little bit down after Helene, I'm going to be honest. And we were facing what went from a very verdant garden to what we thought was going to be a complete desertscape. And about this time, we were talking about getting t-shirts made. Said Mills River Pollinator Garden. But correct me if I'm wrong on this, if the history of this. And Fawn's daughter, Pat Fresh, do this design for us. So the goal is, once we ever figure out what kind of t-shirts we want, we're going to have the Mills River Pollinator Garden t-shirts with this design. So that's our saga, and there's a bunch of people here from my group. So Kelly and Fawn and Pat and Mary and myself. And so if you have any questions, please ask, or suggestions. We'd love to hear.